Hello everybody, I'm here with my first project for the September kit for Aunty Vera's Scrap and Craft. For this first project, I'm going to be using this paper collection by Echo Park called Under the Sea. Now I want to be truthfully honest. When I first got these papers, I was really scared to use them. They were so bright, lots of colors, and they were super busy, and I felt a little bit terrified, to tell you the truth. And I thought, am I the only one who thinks like this? And I thought I'd challenge myself to make cards using busy paper to break that fear that I have sometimes inside me. So for this first card, what I'm doing is I'm cutting a panel the size of my A2 card, and then I'm cutting a panel of white cardstock. You see me there with a square insert, so I took the square part out, and I'm just popping it up now on foam tape, so it has a little bit of dimension. I feel like this takes a lot of the busyness away, kind of centers you towards the inside of the card, but you also have a little bit of the color on the outside. What I wanted to do was at the bottom of the card there, I felt like that white panel, you could use it for a sentiment, but I also wanted to add a little bit of extra detail. So the background is like just all fish of different colors. And I felt like I needed like a little bit of grass, like seaweed grass or something. So I have this stamp set, which I got from one of these magazines that come with a kit. It's a stamp and magazine kind of deal, and I stamped the little seaweeds out, and I colored them in with my pro markers, and then I'm just going to pop them up now at the bottom there, and it just kind of almost grounds the card, and it just adds a little bit of elements on top of that busy fish background. Now I've got this cut apart sheet here with this gorgeous little or he's quite big actually, seahorsey, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fussy cut him, and he is going to be my focal point in this card. So I'm just going to pop him up now on foam tape, and I'm going to curl his tail underneath that seaweed just so it looks like he is incorporated in the scene. And he looks really good. All that's left now in this card is to add a sentiment. And I'm using this cut apart here and just taking off some of those words, and it says beach rules, enjoy the breezes. Now it was too big down at the bottom there all in one go. I didn't want to cover up the seaweed feature there, so I broke it up into two, and I did a strip up the top and a thin strip at the bottom, and this card is done, and I think it looks really good. Busy background, but once you break it up, you see the seahorsey, and it looks really good. So for this next card here, I'm using this sheet here, which has the borders. I think it's called the borders page, something like that. Anyway, so I'm using a like a dark cardstock here, blue one, just to pop up. See how this is just really all white with a fish in it, so I wanted to put that matte in the background. And I also cut up a little bit of the blue background, the blue fish with the blue background with the fish through it. So you've got two panels on that card, and it kind of just breaks it up. I'm using a cut apart here, and I just fussy cut around the seaweed so it looks like they're running up. I actually end up not using this because I don't like it. It does look a little bit busy, but I'll show you what I'm doing here. So I've got a goldfish stamp here, and what I'm doing is I'm just stamping it with my archival ink onto plain Nina Solar White cardstock, because I'm just about to start coloring it here. I'll show you what I'm doing here also. I was going to color it in, but what I decided to do, I'm applying double-sided sticky tape to this white cardstock, and then I'm adding the washi that came in the tape. I thought that the washi would look amazing as the scales of this fish, so what I'm doing is I'm stamping the fish on top of the washi, and then I'm going to fussy cut just the body of the goldfish, and then I'm going to add it to that stamped image up the top there, just using my fine applicator PVA glue here. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to color in the fins and the tail with my pro marker, and I'm going to be using a combination of blue and green, and then just going back and blending it all together so it just has this like aqua color and that it matches the color on the washi tape. I'm just flicking here and there trying to blend it, and I do add a dot of blue to the eye, a dot of pink to the lips, and I'm just applying it here with mounting. And see, this is where I'm like, this is too busy. Fish going one way and then my goldfish going the other way. I added this sentiment here that says just keep swimming, and I kind of wanted to go with that, go against the tide feel, but I really didn't like this card, so here I am changing it. I had this cut apart and I felt like this cut apart was so much better, so I'm just removing my goldfish. I'm going to be adding this cut apart, and I just think this looks so much better. The colors work better, and I'm just going to cut it down to make it fit so you can see a little bit of the fish in the background. And then I added my fish, and then if you see at the top there it says let's make waves, and it's kind of wavy, and I thought what I wanted to do is I wanted to go along the curving of the sentiment so that it looked a little bit wavy, just to add a little bit of interest to the card as well. And I think that that is what I was going for. Just keep swimming against the tide. All the fish are going one way and you feel like you want to go the other way. I'm just popping it up here with some foam tape in the back. And I think this really is the card that I was going for. I love all the blues with a pop of red. That's perfect for me. So on to my next card now, and I love this background, but it's super busy. It seems really dark. So what I did was I flipped it over, and on the flip side of it is this orange, and it looks magnificent because it picks up the orange from the shells and the fish that are in the background. So what I'm doing is I'm going to cut two panels here, one on either side, and I stagger them so that they're kind of different, starting from the top and the bottom in different ways. I've got this set of nested circle dies, and I'm going to cut a circle with the Nemo paper, and I'm going to back him up with one of the darker blues, just to make him pop. I've also got this Kaisercraft anchor die, and I die cut that out of silver foil, or thick silver cardstock. Back to my other stamp set here, and I just used the sentiment that said make a splash. I thought, I had this vision of the anchor being thrown in the water and then it making a splash, and finishing it off here, I felt like this card needed a focal point, so I made some of this seaweed, and I'll show you a little bit later how I made it from another card. So I added the seaweed to the side there, and I cut one of the Nemos out, and I'm putting it so that, he rushed into the seaweed when that anchor got splashed in. And I think that that's perfect. That's a perfect scene right there. For card number 4, I adore this card at the top there that is horizontal with red. It's very sailor. I totally love this. Putting it on the white card there, it looked like it was really going to drown out, so I knew that I had to mat it. But I am grabbing my gorgeous mermaid. This is one of my favorite buys this year. I used her earlier in a art journal video, and I can link you to that below. And I'm just going to color her in really simply with my Prima watercolors. For her tail, I added shades of purple and blue and green, and I think she looks magnificent. So I'm just having a look here, trying to see how I'm going to back her. I don't want to lose any of that horizontal red. I love that Enjoy Everyday feature there. It looks like a pocket. I love it. So I think I found exactly what I'm going to do here. So here we go. I'm going to mat the white card first. Then I'm going to add this cut apart, and that is exactly what I wanted. Tried to put an edge here, but I take it away later because it's unnecessary. Using the Hessian here, I adore this texture. It's gorgeous. You could put her on straight like this, and it wouldn't be too bad, but I'm about to add a piece of blue paper, and this is what I was going for. This is pretty. I just wish I had some kind of like metal charm or something like that to add, but I did mat that blue with a black, and it also adds to to the card. Just lots of black edges, look really nice. And I'm just sticking everything down here. I do end up putting some glitter on her tail and her hair. Check out my blog. She looks amazing. I took some close-up photos. And I used one of these sentiments that says under the sea. So enjoy every day under the sea like a mermaid would. For my next card, I have this set of borders by Kaiser Craft, and what I wanted to do was kind of stagger the card a little bit. I'll show you what I'm doing. So at the front there, I wanted it so that curly parts were flush with the back of the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the front of the card just a little bit shorter, and then add that front panel, and that frilly border was going to extend and touch the back of the card. I hope I'm saying it, I hope I'm describing it better, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. So here I am just making it work. I'm putting that frilly on the front, and then I go back and add a second layer because I wanted it to be green. See how when you flip it over it looked like all stripy, the back of the card, which I kind of didn't like that stripy. So I cut a second layer of this stripy green, and I'm gonna add it to the back of this so that this was also green. So I'm just adding the glue here, and so when you open up the inside of the card, the inside of the frill is now also green. So just trying to match up the edges here and cutting up the excess off the side, and then I'm going to apply this to the front of my card, double-sided sticky tape, and now the front is flush with the back of the card, but then you have this feature of, frilly peek through holes. I don't know. I hope I'm explaining it. So I'm using this gorgeous, cute little crabby, busy crabby background paper, and I use the cut apart that says "Don't be crabby," and I use the hessian as well as just a little bit of different sandwiching between the two. I go back to the stamp set, which is the best stamp set I bought this month actually, and I'm just stamping once again these like seaweed plants, and I'm also stamping some shells. For the seaweed plants, this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to apply with the PVA glue, I'm going to put a thick layer onto the plants. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on some of these seed beads and leave it to dry so that it just looks like it's this kind of seaweedy 3D plant, underwater plant. For the shells, I'm putting some of this Bo Bunny glitter paste, and then I'm throwing on some of this glitter. This is what it looks like. I then go back to my seaweed plants after they've dried a little bit. I added some more PVA glue on top, and then I threw in some glitter sequins, some green sequins to make it look like it was even more 3D and more shiny. And I really loved how the sequins looked on the shells, and I wanted to kind of continue that on with the seaweed plants. So I'm just going to apply these embellishments now onto my card, one at the top corner, and then I'm going to arrange them here on the bottom, so it just looks like an underwater scene that's full of plant life and pretty and glittery, and this guy has nothing to be crabby about because he's got a beautiful environment. So I staggered them, so seaweed shell, seaweed shell. Felt like it needed a teeny bit, so I grabbed some of this doodlebug stickers and I added a baby crab. He was so perfect. Sometimes you don't plan these things, and sometimes they just come up, and he stole the show. He stole my heart. This is the cutest card, and I love that frill on the side there. It adds an extra. See, this is here now. I'm just showing you when you pull it out. Oh, love that card. One of my favorites. Okay, so onto my next card now. This paper truly terrified me. I'm like, what am I going to do with submarine paper? No, I'm not going to use it. And then I'm like, no, you know what? I am going to use it. I'm going to see what I can do with this. And I think that this turned out to be one of my favorites. So I'm glad I pushed myself. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I cut down a panel, and then you can guess I am making a shaker card. So I went with the circles of the submarine windows I used that as my inspiration, and I cut a circle. So what I did was I cut a circle of the blue paper with the fish in the background just to pick up the fish that was in the background of that paper. Then I decided to use my silver thick cardstock, and I put two nested circular dies to make that round peephole of the window in a submarine. So that was, trying to pull that out of the background. So here I am now. I'm just going to stick everything down. That background's going to go down. And then I'm picking out some acetate here, and I'm just going to cut a circle of acetate, and I'm going to put that on. And then next, for the foam part, I decided to cut the same frame but out of foam. So I did 2 layers here, and I'm now just sandwiching them in there because I really wanted to put quite a lot of shaker elements in that little submarine window. So I used 2 layers there, so that is nice and thick, and I allowed that to dry because that took some time. Foam, I think, just sucks up my PVA. I held it together with my bulldog clips, so it was a bit squishy, but not to worry. I used my Doodlebug stickers here because I wanted them to stay in place. Even though you shake the sequins around, I wanted these guys to stay in place. I added some of that glitter shards that we got in the kit. That stuff is very, very pretty. And then here I just added a whole lot of sequins and shells and all these treasures that I found in this little tin that I have. And then I'm going to stick my card on, and look how amazing this shaker feature is. I say this every time. I need to make shaker cards for life. And they make me so happy. I'm getting good at them now, so they don't scare me anymore. I am stamping out this little sentiment that says "Wish you were here," and I'm using this label die cut here just to make it a little bit pretty. And what I end up doing is I end up matting it with black paper because it just gets lost in that busy background of the submarines. I also used the bottom part of the 12 by 12 papers says "Under the Sea," which is the name of the collection. I almost used that a lot in this set of cards. So I put "Wish you were here," "Under the Sea," and I put a border of that chartreuse ribbon there. And then I decided to add just a few more of these cute little critter stickers by Doodlebug because they just kind of get lost inside. Unless you go looking for them in the sequence shaker, they do get lost. So I put some on the frame. And that was that shaker card. Alright, this is my next card now. I love this. I love the colors, but once again, I was a little bit afraid of it. So I ended up cutting it and then putting a panel of orange, matting it with black, so it kind of didn't look too busy. I then grabbed the circular nested die. I think this die set saved my life for this kit. And I cut up a big circle, and then I cut off the side there. Now, do you remember my Octopi Your Heart stamp and die set from our February kit? I brought this guy back. I loved him then, and I've fallen in love with him even more this time around. I stamped him, and then I colored him in with my alcohol markers. I made him like a little shade of fleshy, really light fleshy, just to match that orange. And then I cut him out with the coordinating die. I also grabbed the stamp set from that same the sentiment from that same stamp set, and I put that down. So "You Occupy My Heart," and then I've popped him up with foam tape. Going back in now, and I just wanted to add a little bit of a heart. I wanted to add a heart because he is cute. He's one of my favorites. He's a little guy, but he has such a big presence. And then I filled that heart in with my Nuvo color crystals, and this is adorable. Now he definitely needs his bow. I tried to go without the bow, and I wanted to go that one extra step. And look at this. He's so cute. I love, love, love this card. So simple, easy to make, and you don't worry about the busy background. All right. This is another paper that I thought was way, way busy. I didn't know how to do this. So I sat a while and I thought, okay, so if I used one of my little circle dies and I just made it so that you could cut peepholes through so you could see different fish in different windows. So here I am just trying to figure out where I'm going to put it, and I put marked it with my pencil, and then die cut those. And then I think that this really works. I really like how you could see the fish like streaming through in the background. I also grabbed this paper. This was a lifesaver paper as well for me because the critters were actually quite big enough here that you could make elements out of them. So I cut out a dolphin, a turtle, and a whale. And I made them so that they were just kind of around each of the peepholes that I cut out with my die. So I'm just adding them here. I end up stuffing it up with this whale. He gets moved a little bit later on because I'm trying to make room for the sentiments. In one of my cut aparts, there is a sentiment that says, "We wish we were fish," and that just tickled me a little bit, I guess. And so I cut it up and I tried to make it work around this kind of busy card. So he goes right there and he interferes with where the whale is. So I'm just adding some of my Doodlebug stickers, the heart and the shell, and I pulled the whale off and I ripped some of the card and I couldn't salvage it, so I put a little bit of clear sticky tape, clear washi tape that had a little bit of glitter, so I didn't mind because it looked like it was the bottom of the of the seabed. And then I repositioned the whale so that he was not so close to that peephole on the bottom there. And I really love how this turned out. It's really good. You can still see the busy background, but enough that you could put other elements on to make your card. Alright, so this is card number 9 now. I'm using this pretty blue and white. This is more my style of background, just like no busyness. So I'm just using color for this one. It was all about color, so I'm using different colors here. So the orange banner, and then I offset it with the striped yellow color cardstock, and then this is just a leftover of one of the cut aparts, and I wanted to use it here. So just adding, this is one of the different cards. I've never made such a busy kind of strange card like this, but I'm happy that I did. Use the hessian at the bottom there to cover up some of the black. I think the black looks good. It kind of pulls your eye away and around the card. Adding some of these dots here. I'm just filling in some of the spaces. Now I did feel like I needed a focal point here, so I got one of these jellyfish guys. It's one of the borders in the paper, and I put him down at the bottom there. Added more of these dots down towards the bottom. Felt like that was an empty piece at the bottom there, piece of real estate. He's popped up on foam tape. I felt like the top corner here was also in need of something. I tried putting another one of those, the bottom part that says under the sea, but I felt like this card already had enough words there, so I didn't think that was a good idea, so I ended up just using it on the back of the card. Why not? So still looking a little bit empty there, and I did decide to put a little bit of the green ribbon, and I think that was perfect because it just added even more color. So you got yellow, you got green, blue, red, black, hessian, brown. I think this was just a fun, colorful card. I really enjoyed making that. And last but not least, this is card number 10. I have this die set from Sizzix. It's called the Flip It card. Hardly have used this thing. This thing cost me like 45 bucks. Never use it. It's got a back panel and 2 side panels and a whole lot of nested stuff. I thought, you know what? I'm going to use it. So I cut up some of that Submarine big 12 by 12 paper, and I cut it in one block, then I cut it again using the 2 tiny panels so that it was a continuous scene when you closed the card, but when you opened it up, it had a little bit of extra. I'm using the nested circle and scallop dies here just to make a little bit of an interest in that middle feature that flips open and close, flips from one side to the other as you open and close the card. I also cut a border around it so that it looked like there was a lot of fish in the middle there, And even though it was at the bottom, there's lots of coral at the bottom, there's fish in the middle. Kind of looks good. And then I thought I would add, I wanted to add this turtle, but he looked better on the top there, and I thought, you know what, I am going to add the dolphin on the center and the turtle up at the top. And I think that that worked really well, because you can see the turtle when you open the card, whereas the dolphin goes to the back. Felt like it needed just a few more elements, so I brought in my sequins, and I add some sequins here along the curve of the left side of the card, and I think that that really does the trick. It's small, but it fills in empty spaces. So I think that that's a gorgeous scene. So when you flip the card open to the other side, you still see the turtle. The dolphin's gone. He's now at the front. So now I'm making the other side of that circle. Once again, I am layering the scallop with one of the circles, and then I've got this die set here, and best wishes. Isn't it perfect? I love it. It's so simple. This card is amazing. I love this. No wonder I bought this die set. Now I wanted to do one more feature. I wanted to use this ribbon one more time. I wanted to make like a, I guess belly band is the way to do it. Explain it. I'm using my hot glue gun here to stick it together. And where I've cut the ribbon, there's a tiny line which looked a bit imperfect, so I thought I thought I would use one of these stickers, these doodlebug stickers. These guys are so cute. They pop up here, there, and everywhere. I really love how I've used them sparingly, but I'm so excited to see them every time I use them. So just like that, that is an inner feature in the card. It's like a belly band, and I brought it closer there just to hide that that line. And I adore this card. This is the cutest. I just want to sit here, like it's like the shaker card. I just want to sit here and play. Just close it and open, close and open. That dolphin's cute, that turtle's cute, and that little fish on the inside is cute. Alrighty, so here we go. Here are my 10 cards. So that first card has a square panel that I cut a hole out of and put my focal point. I loved that second card because I used two different panels, and then I added my cut apart or my focal image in the middle. I loved this Nemo card. I love doing the panel to use up some of that busyness, and then the circle of Nemo in the middle. You almost think it's a shaker card, but it's not, and that anchor. I love that Mermaid gorgeous card. That stripe is my favorite. And the Hessian, and she's just so pretty there. My Don't Be Crabby card, I love how I did that bottom part there with all the glitter and the sequins and the teeny tiny little crabby. He is cute. The shaker card, and I can't believe I was scared of that submarine paper. That submarine paper actually inspired me to make that like circle round thing, like the window of a submarine. Mr. Octopus here, you octopi my heart. He is also one of my favorite cards. I really enjoyed making this one with the 3 peepholes, so that all the 3 different elements in that card, you could add them to a busy background without it looking too crazy. I love this next one. This next one is a simple card, yet it's a whole lot of colors, and they're layered on really nicely. And last but not least, I'll get you to check out everything on the blog. I've got close-up pictures, and I explain things a little bit more. I seem to be rushed. This was a long video. Last but not least, this is my Flip It card. I'm so glad I pulled this thing out, and I'm going to be using it more often now that I've really enjoyed making this set of cards. So I'm just showing you here on the back. You can always add a journal card here so you can write your sentiment, or you can always put a journal card in the middle there. If whatever you want to do, if you don't want to interfere with the scene. But I really love how these elements go together. And it's just another interactive, fun card that you can make for kids and grown-ups alike. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate your support and your likes. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.